Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and people who identify as otherwise, for this great and fourth installment in the SSRI GT3 Tier 2 Championship. Tonight we'll go racing at the wonderful, magical, and somewhat mystical Mount Panorama in Bathurst, Australia. A track famously known for being super difficult for drivers, a track where we have seen manual crashes in the last couple of years of racing around here. Even last week we saw a little bit of action in regards of that. Great racing happened there. Tonight will be obviously a completely different story, as it's a brand new set of drivers compared to the Tier 1 guys. It's of course the Silver Name drivers. Great racing so far from them this season. I've been informed that I have to talk to you for about 8 minutes before we go live with qualifying, so a lot of bollocks will be talked for this evening's event. A few interesting things have not happened since last time, so we'll just leave everything like that on the side. Though it is an interesting time in the championship we are looking at. 4th round, of course, in a 5-round championship. The championship picture are starting to form a little bit out there. As we can see, some drivers getting to the top of the table being contenders, and they might have to think about that more in this race, or at least a little bit more than they have in the previous rounds, and trying to be more cautious about finishing results as we actually get some championship standings up on the screen, which is quite lovely and right on time. As you can see in the silver class, Richard Prixley, I have decided that that's his name from now on and all future, have started running away with it just a tiny little bit in the front, having 61 points in total. A few more than Andrew Priatko in second with 53. Andrew, of course, winning the first race quite dominantly, but then Richard Prixley and his mighty Nissan took over and took 2 wins in the last 2 rounds. Third place, Frank Hupp. Interesting to see him up there. He did quite well last season when he was an AM driver, finishing in the top 3, and he's top 3 again this season in the silvers. So we'll see what he can do on 44 points. 42 points is Milan Dumas. He have only raced twice so far this season, finishing second in both of those races. He will be one of the guys who are looking for a win in this season so far. The rest of the silver class just taking the top 10, and strange things out there. With Mick Shanklins in 5th place, best placed Porsche in the championship. Parties follows him quite closely. Haven't had the best start to the season. One good result at Kota, I seem to remember, where he did quite well. He have been involved in a lot of battling around. Bart Swearing in 7th. I only finished 2 races, though a podium last time out in P3. Did quite well on Brands Hatch. All drive for the Tier 2 drivers, of course. Aaron Van Doren, having only raced once this season, still clinging on to 9th place. Wasn't a great performance from Aaron. But yeah, I think he's back this time around, and he'll be racing at Mount Panorama. Hopefully we'll see that beautiful car on the track. But hey ho, you never know. 10th place, Pascal Vida. Also missing out a singular round, but strong finishes elsewise 5th and 10th. And just to mention the last driver who have actually taken part in this championship would be Wouter Blitzmer, not doing so well in the Honda. Not that surprising, yes, the Honda are quite harsh to drive. And yes, my evil twin is doing quite well. Not sure that he's around tonight, though. We'll have to wait and see if he comes up. Speaking of evil, let's have a look at the AM Championship, which is equally interesting as the silver class. Maybe slightly more, but once again we see only 2 drivers having won so far this season. Wouter wins with a first, third, and first again, leading the championship by 10 points over Craig Hill. Craig could, with a reasonable performance today, do a quite good intake in that lead that Wouter have created for himself. Trying to keep the championship alive for the final round at Valencia in 2 weeks' time. Michael De Gore in 3rd position. Seemed very strong after the LFM Bob was removed for both Kota and Brands Hatch, with 2 strong 2nd place finishes. Cohen Geens in 4th, of course. Denise Pope, best female driver in the AM Championship. P5 doing a good job in the Porsche. Also the first non-McLaren in the AM Championship. Interesting to see so many McLarens topping that one. Johan Huben in sixth, of course. Again, BMW driver. We haven't seen too much of him action-wise in the races. He's sort of just keeping steady pace when he's driving. Not too many incidents, not too many overtakes. And of course, the fan favorite Steve Parker in 7th place. Mr. All or Nothing. Quite well. He missed out on Kota, which have hurt his championship a little bit, but he is tied with points with Barloso. I have raced 3 races so far this season. So that's good for those guys. 9th place, Iron van der Linden. Some might say the better of the van der Lindens, but that might be a little bit too harsh on France, but who knows? And honestly, who cares, right? But nevertheless, in 9th position, Iron van der Linden, Jesse van Breil in 10th. Midfield performances so far, but you never know when the surprises are on. From 10th and down, we have Wouter van der Woert. Yes, that's his name. Parker Olsen, Peter Brockland, Jovan Dosberg, Sandro Bosch, Mark Brockhoven, and yeah, that's basically those that we have seen racing so far this season. And what a season it's been. It has been so far in this championship, I must say. All out action, all out racing, good battles on track, and all the jazz you like to see. Speaking of the racing tonight, Mount Panorama, one of the maybe grander tracks in the whole of endurance racing. Sort of on the same sort of category as a Spa and even the Nordschleife, I would say, of good tracks to race at. The Nordschleife obviously not that good to race at, but good for time trialing. Though that might be an unpopular opinion, so let's leave it there. Though Mount Panorama is very difficult to get around, super satisfying when you get it right through the mountains. Hard to overtake up there, but with the long straights on the track, overtaking are highly possible around here as soon as you clear that mountain section. As we get into to one of the famous track guides rounding the final corner of the track, coming into to Hell's Corner, which is T1 around here. Interesting corner where we saw a lot of incidents, or at least the big one last week in Tier 1. Also the runoff area that could be taken advantage. Coming up the mountain straight, Hell Corner, the first real overtaking opportunity if we take from the start of the lap. Coming up the long mountain straight before heading into Griffin's Bend. Another one of the famous overtaking opportunities, but sort of also where you need to start thinking about where you're going to file in on the first lap to avoid being side by side up the mountain. Around Griffin's Bend we go. Short straight up to the cutting, which is basically the final true overtaking opportunity before we have cleared the mountain section. Really hard corner to get right, as it's easy to lock up the tires and go wide or just get the braking wrong. After the cutting, we'll go into 5 and 6 the quarry. Equal difficult. You have to be flat out from here till you crest Skyline for it to be a perfect lap, which is extremely difficult. Frog Hollow and Solomon Park, the corners we're looking at the minute, flying up the top of the mountain before obviously coming into to Solomon Park, and I'm not going to pronounce that crazy name. Into Skyline we go. Difficult corner. Many people have taken this only basic opportunity to escape. Crashes on the mountain there across that. Difficult downhill section. Quick tap on the brakes through the corner we just passed. Keeping it on the throttle all the way down here. Some people light slip, some brakes here, some throttles it through. Hard on the braking. Easy to get it wrong here. A tad too late on the brakes and you hit that wall. Down the long back straight, the Conrad straight, where we'll really see the cars with low wings and high performance doing well down here. Also interesting to see who will be running the lower wings. We'll probably get a good telltale of that during qualifying before we head into the mighty corner complex, the Domino's Ding Dong corner, also known as the Chase. Another good overtaking opportunity, also a place where drivers often get it wrong early in the race and find themselves in the gravel trap before we round out and come into to Morris Corner, the final corner on the track. Yet another overtaking opportunity for those who are brave enough and get the run out of the Domino's Ding Dong, of course. And yeah, that's the one spectating flying lap that we'll get to see from the mountain. Speaking of the wangs on the cars, an in this event we saw in the first tier, or at least the last week in tier 1, that seemed to be the meta for the top drivers, at least, to go with almost negative wings, going as low on the wings as the cars possibly allow you to. If you could have taken them off, some people might have been crazy enough to do so, to get the extra speed down the straights, as that's where you want to do the overtakes, and then you just have to try and get it to stick through the mountains. Could be difficult, of course. In the second tier, I'm not sure that everyone will be using the lower wings. Some might have chosen to go for comfort and have a little bit more downforce in the mountain section to help their race pace throughout the race. Maybe also a little bit lap times wise, but they will suffer a bit on the straights. As we are live in qualifying, I'm being told in the back of my head. And hey, we have a look on the car. An M&M's looking livery, it seems like. Might be new livery on the grid. I think there are at least 2 of these M&M's looking cars. The McLarens, of course, of DDS Racing, currently following Vance Vince around. I'm not entirely sure if people have started a lap yet. I don't think so. This are probably their out lap onto the to the qualifying. So it's all about finding a good, nice space to and clean air to get your first flying lap in. And hopefully no one will get in the way, and hopefully you will not encounter cars that have crashed out in the mountain section, which could be become somewhat of a challenge in this qualifying, as the cars are bunching up. First car on a flying lap, Bart Swearing leading the pack for the first time in qualifying. First guy to go full throttle through the mountain. He might be in the mighty Ferrari of Sim Racing Holland, the number 12 car. Down the mountain straight he goes, over the crest. Good to see them going very fast early in the race. Look quite nice through there, using all of the curb on the outside, of course, not unsettling the car too much. Difficult corner, looks like he was throttling through, keeping it nice and tidy there. That's a good job now. It's a big question, can he keep on the throttle all the way up the mountain to help himself get the best possible time? Looks like very close to the walls there, going on board now. Unfortunately, I don't have much engine sound in my ears, but you guys out there could probably tell me if he kept throttling. A little bit of an oversteer moment there, lifting up through skyline, keeping it good going. Doesn't look like he was lifting, but keeping in 4th. Interesting to see that he didn't choose to gear up. Down the mountain he goes for the first time in qualifying. Looking good so far, keeping it under control. Nice steering inputs, no crazy sudden reactions. The braking zone, he goes through it nicely, hooks the inside, one of my worst corners around this track. Looks good so far from Bart Swearing, and now we can just see the long straight here. If you have a cup of tea next to you, you could easily have a sip or two down this straight, as it truly is that long. Going through the king, into the dominoes, ding dong we go. On the brakes, and looked like he hit, might be a tad too late. No, that seemed perfect for Bart Swearing. Interesting to see what kind of lap time he'll put in. First lap time on the board, of course, it's still valid, his lap. To see what the other drivers have to aim for initially, at least. It will be a 2.1.8. That might not stand for long on the top of the board though. Van Doren and Parker both goes slower. Prixley, championship leader, following around here in the mighty Nissan, doing a good job in the Nissan so far. He does have traffic now. This could impact his final sector. He's doing the flashes, but the drivers ahead of him doesn't have to get out the way if they're on a flying lap. Trying the overtake on the grass into the final corner. He goes behind the number 3 car, close to contact there, making the move onto the start-finish straight, and Prixley goes second with all of that action. Looks like the number 3 car wasn't on a valid lap there, so he should have probably backed out of that one. Prixley just goes immediately into the pits, as he knows that that start to a lap wasn't optimum. Following Steve Parker around, he is a tiny bit up on his previous best lap, or his just previous lap. Could be on for good qualifying in the AM class. We know that Steve Parker does a ton of practice for these races, and around this track, that might be the thing that differentiates him from the rest of the field. Lap is still valid, even though he went wide there. Doing a good job of keeping control of the cars with the dirty tires. That can be difficult to go through skyline. Traffic down the mountain, a little bit of that. The white car, I think that was Swearing, he passed there. getting very close to Van Doren. He might be able to catch a little bit of slipstream from Aaron. Down the Conrad straight, Aaron just bails out of his lap as he didn't like what he was having. Back to the pits with him. I tell you what, Parker have lost a little bit there coming down the mountain, but Iron van der Linden looks to be improving by a lot. Same does Wouter Vince further down the field, and Nadi Balazo of course as well with a huge improvement, but not the best first lap for him. Van der Linden having to negotiate the traffic around the mountain, or up and down the mountain it looks like, but still improve. No, Van der Linden is not improving anymore. That traffic cost him big time there. But I can see that both Geens and Wouter Vince are currently up on their lap times, trying to chase it. Following Cohen Geens here around the traffic, he goes down the Conrad straight into the Domino's Ding Dong and close to Denise Pope ahead. That could be a possible slipstream that he's getting up by 0.8 seconds at the minute. Didn't get the Domino's Ding Dong hooked up perfectly there, but not too bad. Still improving by 0.7 at this point. Denise just bails out of the way it looked like, and that's Iron ahead of him. Iron about to start a new flying lap. What will Cohen Geens do? Across the line he goes and jumps to... doesn't jump, actually goes one step down. What? Something seemed wrong on our sheets then, but nevertheless, it is what it is. He'll go and try one more lap around the mountain. Obviously, he still have 12 minutes and 40 seconds to at least get a lap started. Few greens on the board at the minute. The one first up are Prixley, who's currently only second, but his improvements will not take him to the top of the board if he doesn't find more during this qualifying lap. Brockhoven we are following around in current 16th position, also improving by a little bit, though he will have to find more than a little bit to improve a position. So far 6 seconds off the pace. Might not have had the best of runs through the mountains so far from Brockhoven, but still a lot of time to improve on that, of course. Through the Ding Dong, hits the curb, not optimal, goes for a little bit of a spin there. Into the wall he went. When black turns to green, you're in trouble, or at least if you take the curb and end up on the green. Unfortunate for him. Back to Iron van der Linden, who tries one more time to improve his lap time. He is up by 0.8 of a second once again. Down the back straight, if our timing sheets are correct this time around. A little bit hard to know. Conrad straight. Hard to really gauge the speed they are going, but they are going very fast, I can tell you that. Into the Ding Dong he goes. Seems to be hooking up, hard to tell from that camera angle. Into Murray. Up by an entire second at the minute. This could put him in contention for the top 5 if he managed to stick it around the final couple of corners. Van der Linden up into 5th. And just for the record, Van der Linden's lap time, I'll just try to find it someplace. He already dropped to 6th, but he did a 2 minutes 2.754. Enough for second in the AM category at the minute. Only Jesse Van Dryle ahead of him and Steve Parker right behind. That's actually a pretty close mix they have going on there. Dimitri Schenk just popped up into first. Stunning lap that just slipped through everyone's attention, or at least Chris's and mine. Good lap from him, 202.522 for Dimitri Schenk. Good job from the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari does seem to have lost a little bit of its overall pace after the lack of LFM Bob. But someone forgot to tell Dimitri Schenk that. Stop and Owl Racing. Good name for a team, of course, and that's one we'll try and remember. Looking good through the first corner. Up by 0.2 seconds at the minute. Prixley are the only one who's up by more at the current stage out on track. Dimitri lost a bit there, though if you can keep it fronted all the way up the mountain, that could be a place to find that little bit of an oversteer moment there. Through the corners. Ooh, wall touch, he will keep going. I think he will at least, or try to. No, he pulls off. Not too good. Prixley up by 0.2. Van Dryle up by 0.7 of a second also. Further down the field, but Richard Prix is in contact with the wall there. Does he keep going? It's hard to say. He already lost a lot of time there. He might just bail out on this one, take a fresh set of tires and go for another run. But he does continue, even though he's down by quite a bit. But I tell you what, if Jesse Van Dryle puts the lap together that he's doing at the minute, he could be up for pole position. Or at least provisionally pole if he keeps it together for the rest of the lap. He's super quick out there on track right now. Van Dryle pole position, provisional pole from Jesse Van Dryle. What a shocker! Good lap there from Van Dryle. Also P1 in AM, but Prix is still going. He will try another lap, it looks like. Van der Linden P2 in AM. We just had a little bit of a look on him. Bart Swearing second at the minute. He will need to improve his lap time by ever so slightly. That is literally a tad of a second. He needs to improve his lap by a dozen of thousandths of a second. Richard Prix goes for a slight spin through Hill's corner, or Hill corner, into the pits, and he'll take some fresh tires and go up for a new run. The Gore P16, good livery on that McLaren. Easy to recognize at least. Up by 0.8 of a second, 0.9. The counter is going up 1 second. This could put him up at least one position if he holds this together and that will put him ahead of Peter Brookland, who's currently 15th overall. But he's definitely going for it. Through the ding dong, he went. And Chris tries to say something in the background, but apparently he can't get a word in today, as usual. Which is why you don't hear his wonderful commentary. He's still trying his best in my ears, and it's getting a little bit annoying that he's not just saying it. Then I'll try to pretend like I heard it in the background. Van Dosberg up by 3.3 seconds. Our cameraman is telling me that he can't see Van Dryle for some reason. Though he might just be ghost riding this event. Maybe he'll pop in with a lot of flames behind him and doing a Ghost Rider theme song, which we obviously can't play on YouTube. Dosberg currently 20th and the racing in the sausage end, but this lap could change that. If he keeps it together, it is quick enough to at least provisionally beat Brockhoven if he can finish the lap with this much of an improvement that he's on at the minute. We'll follow him through the Domino's Ding Dong corner. And probably across the line as well, as it is quite the improvement that he's on. We didn't even get to see him through the Domino's Ding Dong corner because Chris Hill don't want all that commercial sponsorship of a brand that's not recognized. Belitsma goes up into 8th position in the Honda. Good drive from him. It will be a difficult car for him to And we are back after a brief moment of spinning circle. Just been confirmed that Milan Dumas is not racing tonight. A bit unfortunate, as that will definitely put him out of contention for the top 3. Quick driver that we are missing out on. Following Craig Hill around at the minute. P14, I'm just going through all of my sheets. A lot of people are improving out there on track at the minute. Craig Hill being one of them. Up by a 10th of a second up through the mountain, which is where time is lost or found. A lot of time can be lost, found, at least lost if you get it wrong. Found, then you have to do something better than your previous lap, of course. Into Skyline he goes. Close to the wall, nice and close, using the curve. Close to the... could have been a little bit closer to that wall. Good camera shot over the barrier. Full throttling it down the mountain. He will be trying everything he can. If he stays close enough to Barloso ahead of him, he can catch a slipstream down the back straight as Barloso goes off into the wall, which means no slipstream for Craig Hill. He did not lose time on that. Fortunate for him. Fortunate for Mr. Hill. Up by half a second down the Conrad Straight. Oh, sorry. Yes, the Conrad Straight. I'm being not informed in the back of my head as the car disappeared for a brief second. Into the Ding Dong he goes. Nice over the first thing and over Dong as well. Doing a good job using the curb on the exit. Murray's corner. Fun fact, if you go to this barrier on the exit road in Gran Turismo 7, then you can see a cat standing behind the barrier. You can also see an alien abduction of a cow on this track if you stay stationary for long enough at a certain point of the track, but we can talk about that another day, another time. Bart swearing through the ding-dong. He goes. He's up by a little bit. And while we've been gone, Prixley have gone into pole position, beating Van Dryle by quite a substantial amount of time. Maybe we should consider bringing Prixley into the jack for the final round of the season. Swearing up into second place with a 2:01.610. Time to beat us still Richard Prixley that we're following around. He's currently improving once again, but current time from Richard Prixley. You can see that in the top of the screen. 2:01.037. He could be the first driver beneath the 2:01s. No, he won't be after that, and he will. Well, he can still start another flying lap, but he will only have one more shot at it. So those in the pits at the minute, they will not have enough time to go back out on track and start a flying lap, so they are done with their qualifying at least. So Cohen Skeen not improving. The best he can hope for are P6 and P2 in the AM category. Iron van der Linden goes around the track. We are at Murray's corner. He'll be crossing the line, putting himself not to an improvement, unfortunately, or at least not enough to get up the standings. But one more shot for van der Linden at least. Same goes for Van Dryle, who's improving on his lap time. Not enough to threaten Prixley at the minute. But really setting a finger. He had a little bit of contact there with Mr. Barry R. But still going, still improving. Out of the mountain section he goes, close to the Bentley wall. A wall that many drivers through the last couple of years and seasons of SSRI have found to be quite troublesome and can cause quite a bit of damage if you go out and kiss that one. Still improving his lap time, Jesse Van Dryle. And our cameraman wants to make it noticed that it's a piece of deuce, that wall. Van Dryle up by 0.1. This could cement his AM class pole position. Improving, still not losing over the line. Does improve slightly, not enough to beat out a swearing there. And he will have one more attempt if he's fueled for it. Blitzman, the Honda, good to see the mighty Honda car. I love those Japanese GT3s. It's good to see the mix of cars in the field, even though only 20 drivers showed up for this one. A good mix of cars in there. And the McLarens doesn't seem to be the best cars this time around, fortunately enough. They won't be the cars to top. Blitzman, 10th position. He will not improve anymore in this qualifying. We are just waiting for the final couple of drivers to get their laps in. Looks like the only driver who's improving on track at the minute are Jesse Van Dryle, though Richard Prixley are very close to his lap time. Acing Murray's corner. Could improve his lap time ever so slightly. No. Swearing on the lap. Van Dryle as well. Van Dryle up by 0.2. Across the big slide over the mountain. Very close, that wall, still going. Lost a little bit of time there, but not too much. Still trying to push everything he got now down the mountain. He'll have to do it. There were cars crashing ahead of him. That could impact his qualifying, though. He still goes in the front. Good driving. Good aware driving from Van Dryle there. Down the mountain section we go. Difficult corner coming up as he'll exit the mountain for the final time of qualifying. Early on the throttle, nice and early, all the way out to the wall. Lost a tiny bit of time there. Very close to improvements at the minute. He did just lose it. Only driver out there setting a lap time that's somewhat close to being competitive at the time. Down the Conrad straight he goes. Enjoying all the views, scenery and kangaroos in the background. The ding dong for the final time in qualifying. You have to ace this to improve his lap time, and he knows this. Looks good so far. He found a tiny bit of time. Actually found 0.2 of a second. Could this be a P2 overall for Jesse Van Dryle if he keeps this going? Good drive from him so far. Across the line he goes. Improvement P2 for Jesse Van Dryle. Great drive there from Van Dryle. Clutch qualifying performance, putting him in P2. Though still quite a bit bit off of Richard Prixty in pole position, of course, but wow, what a drive we saw there by the end of that. So I can quickly run you through the starting order of the race. Row 1 will be Richard Prixty and Jesse van Dryle lining up beside him in second position. That could be the best place to start in this race, honestly, as you'll have the inside line into turn 1. Row 2 of the grid, Bart Swearing and Aaron Van Doren. Van Doren making his return to SSRI Sprint Racing after having missed out on the last 2 rounds. Row 3, Mick Shinklins, Cohen Geens P2 in the AM category. Good drive from him as well to get that second place in the AMs. Row 4, I assume we are down to now. Iron van der Linden and Dimitri Schenk. Iron van der Linden P3 in the AMs. Row 5, Parties and Wouter Blitzme. Interesting to see what Blitzme can do in that Honda, that NSX VTEC machinery. What it can do around the mountain in the race. Difficult car to control, but if anyone can do it, then it would be Wouter on this one. Behind them, we'll have Craig Hill and Steve Parker. From here on out, it's all AM drivers, as Blitzme are the worst placed silver. But Craig Hill and Parker lines up in 11th and 12th on the grid. Wouter Vince and Denise Pope behind them. In 15th position, we'll have Michael De Gore and Nadia Barloso behind him. Peter Brooklyn lines up in 17th position with Wouter van der Voort behind him in 18th. Mark Brockhoven in 19th position. And Givo van Dosberg rounds out the grid in 20th place. Even though it's only a 20 car grid we have tonight, don't be fooled, this could still be or will still be super interesting and wonderful to watch. We all know that it only takes 20 cars to make a Formula 1 race, so why not 20 cars to make a good GT race? Richard Prixty will of course be our Max Verstappen, as he will, if we're looking at what's happened in the previous rounds, then he's very likely just to run away with this. No, he's not. What? Who was that? I don't think that, I didn't know that my twin was here, but apparently he is just next to me. Anyways, good luck on the pole sitting Nissan here. Richard Prixty in the classic Wild Things Racing livery, the old black and purple car, compared to the more modern iterations with the all pink machinery's P2, Jesse van Dryle, a car that we'll have to look out for. He could be the best of the rest, the best of the non-aliens in tier 2 with that car. Swearing in 30, we're just having a look at the cars down the grid. One of my favorite liveries all time in sim racing history is CBSR Mercedes. Very, very nice to see that on the grid of Aaron Van Doren. Not to put anything against the other drivers, Shinklins of course in a good yellow, oh sorry, not yellow, pink and white Porsche, the FedEx machinery behind him. That would be Cohen Geens. Having good luck on the liveries for the first time this season, basically. Van der Linden in the Golf styled car there. Dimitri Schenk in the Stub and Owl racing car. Good job on that livery as well. The 195 car of Parties, the Polish man in the Ferrari. Wouter Blitzme there in the Honda. Easy to spot when we get the aerial views. Good standard custom livery seat on the 168 car of Craig Hill. Kudos for making that in the in-game customization. Steve Parker following him behind. A little bit of a chrome flair to that. Before we go to the M&M's machinery, the DDS car. That's the 213. That's Wouter Vince, and next to him we have Denise Pope in the modern iteration of the Wild Things Racing livery. All pink, all nice, all the wonderful cars. Another good one here, that's De Gore. Easy to recognize that, at least from up close. From far it's a little bit harder. The only Lamborghini on the grid behind him, of course, Barloso in the green car. The yellow DDS car, not the M&M's livery that we was expecting. I think something went wrong, but it's the Audi style livery on that one. Also a top livery, and fun to see the Audi on the McLaren car. The other Golf livery machinery further down the grid, third from last, Van der Voort. He might be looking for some positions to be gained in this race before we have the two races in the sausage end final row. Or the other Lambo, I thought there was only one, but apparently Brockhoven is in a Lambo as well. I'm not that easy to fool. And finally, of course, Van Dosbergen. Also a good livery that we can maybe stay around and have a good look at for a little bit of a second and try and grasp some of the details of this car. skull with the devil horns on the side. Maybe the other drivers will be fearing him. It looks like some very dark stars put in there. That's some top detailing. Dyer go. Hopefully he'll choose to go into the first corner, not the other one, as that would be very unfortunate. Taking there's the main sponsor, the Dodge flag on the hood of the car. I love it when people put their nationalities on their cars. Beautiful, beautiful machinery. Not that often we get to see these close-ups of the cars, as we'll soon start to hear some engines roaring in the background. If you on YouTube can't hear that already, as I expect that you actually could, as the drivers are starting up the engines. All the cars seem to have dropped from the jacks and are ready to take the formation lap. And we are off! Onto the formation lap we go. And people often ask, why don't these cars take standing starts? And that's simply because the cars have one gearing they can use for the entirety of the season. So a lot of these cars don't have that good a pull away in first gear, and it would be too much of a hassle that some of the cars would be super slow off the line. Also, it makes for slightly more interesting racing, at least with GT cars, to do the rolling starts in the 2x2 formation as usual. Though single file on the formation lap, drivers will start warming up the tires and brakes. Always interesting to see who goes for the weaving and who goes for the braking. Dragging the brake along the track will heat up the tires a little bit, but definitely will heat up the brakes, as Frank Hopp have joined the server very late. He'll be starting from the pits then. Frank Hopp in the third Lamborghini in the pits. He will have his work cut out to get back up to the top of the field. One hell of a task to do here on Mount Panorama, trying to get the overtakes done. Here we see the lone Lambo win the pits, but that might be smart, as he will can maybe stay out of the presumed carnage that could happen on lap 1 of a race like this. The drivers basically only have 2 to 3 corners until they sort of have to go into single file, or they'll lose too much time to the cars ahead of them when they go over the mountain here of the great Mount Panorama Bathurst circuit. Yes, this will probably be the slowest we'll see the cars go for the next 1 hour 15 minutes of racing around this track. Just a quick reminder to everyone out there watching, the 1 hour 15 minute races means that the pit stop rules are slightly changed from the regular 60-minute races. In the 1 hour 15 minute races, the drivers only have to take fuel in the pit stop, so if you're brave enough, you can go with a fuel-only strategy. I know that quite a few drivers did that last week. Interesting to see who will be doing it this time around. It honestly doesn't look like it will matter what Richard Pixley will do. He'll likely still emerge ahead of the rest of the guys after he takes his stop when he gets there, but fortune only favors the brave, and if Richard is not brave enough, he might actually crash the car, as this is one of those tracks. If you're not concentrated for just a slight second, if you're trying to take it nice and easy, and you go through the mountain section with less speed than you're used to, that's where incidents can happen for you. That's when you start making mistakes, maybe turning in too early for a corner, or overestimating the grip you have in the lower speeds and spinning the car out. This is where the skill really comes into play here. Full focus for 1 hour 15 minutes of racing plus a lap. You can obviously relax a little bit going down the straights, but not too much, as it is big braking zones at the end of all of them, where you need to be precise within a meter to be fast through them. We will shortly start to see the cars go double file, as this is a very nice shot of basically all the cars except for Van Dryle going in a nice straight line, being nicely and well behaved for probably the last time all evening. Oh, well, afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. It looks to be bright and sunny in Australia. Whoa! Don't push it too hard, Van Dryle, before you start racing. Don't let the first row of the grid get to your head. You have to get it done first. To finish first. First, you have to finish. Last bit of a quiet moment for the drivers before they go racing. They all start to think it through. What's going to happen in turn 1? If this driver does this, will I do that? What if he does this? What should I do to avoid? Final corner we go. Good shot of the cars in the NASCAR formation. As we are about to go green flag racing, because we are racing for the 4th time this season in the SSRI Tier 2 Championship. Richard Prixley off to a great start there. Big send further down the field, and the mayhem could already start happening. Prixley gets off to a wonderful start. Van Dryle loses out there to, I think that's Swearing, who came flying up the inside of Van Doren. That's definitely Schenkelens in trying out for P2 in the race down the mountain straight. Yellow flag further down the straight, but much cleaner than we saw the Tier 1 guys do it. Good job for these guys so far around here. Swearing manages to defend this one. Schenkelens could lose out to Van Doren here as they go side by side into the mountain. Van Doren thinks twice of it and backs out. Van Dryle gets close to him. They have all formed into a nice single file so far up this mountain. Are there anyone who will put it in the wall first time around? This could be the first time all week that these drivers get to drive in the dirty air behind other cars up the mountain section. This is very different from what they did in practice. Looking further down the field, still single file. De Gore also through. It looks like everyone got through the mountain nice and cleanly, at least on lap 1. At least the top part, until Skyline wound to Blitzma. He was the guy who caused the yellow flag in Hell Corner. Not the greatest of starts from him as Frank Hobb is also running from the pits, just cresting the mountain as we speak, going down for the first time. But there could be action happening up in near the front and midfield as we go into the Ding Dong for the first time this race. Van Doren looks to be very close to Schenkelens. The Porsche are a little bit quicker than the 992 rather than the 991. And it seems to be enough to hold off Van Doren, but Schenkelens goes a little bit too wide as Van Doren will get the run on the outside of Schenkelens into Murray. Will Van Doren go for it? I think Weiss off it for the second time. Looks like Van Doren will go for it. Up the inside he goes into 3rd position on a podium spot at the minute from Aaron Van Doren. But Schenkelens is not done yet as he tries to come back around into Hill's Corner. We go side by side. Good move from Schenkelens so far. Very close there from Van Doren to contact, trying to get the better exit, but doesn't manage to do so entirely as Van Dryle now have the run on Aaron Van Doren up the mountain straight. Van Dryle even getting the benefit of the slipstream of Schenkelens. Will Van Doren back out of this one, or does he take the fight into the corner? It looks like that Van Dryle backed out of it, thinking Weiss of it, but he now gets directly under pressure from Dimitri Schenk. And Schenk is under pressure from Van der Linden, it seems like. These cars are very close there the first time down the long straights. Now it's all about keeping yourself composed, staying tucked in behind, not making any mistakes whatsoever over the mountain. On board Dimitri Schenk and the Stop and Owl racing machine we go. Let's see how close to the walls he dares go. On board the spaceship looking Ferrari all the way out, touching the curb. Curb again, turning in. That looks to be a little bit early. That could be wide. Onto the grass, keeps it together. Through Skyline, over the crest, down the mountain. We'll have to go. Van der Linden very close to Schenk on the downhill run. Though it does look like that Schenk got a little bit of a run out there as Van der Linden had to check up to avoid the contact. Back straight on board Dimitri Schenk, further up the field. Jesse Van Dryle and Aaron Van Doren seems to be very close out of the mountain section at least. Let's see if the McLaren have the legs on that wonderful, wonderful Mercedes of Aaron Van Doren. Also remember to hit the like button out there and subscribe, maybe even hit the bell if you want to see great action as Cohen Geens further down the field. Involved with Van der Linden and Parties and a lot of cars in a big old train behind them. Still no victims in the mountain section. These Tier 2 drivers are doing a fantastic job so far. I would have expected at least one to go up their yellow flags at the exit of the Ding Dongs. The 39, is that a Schenkelens car? No, that's Mark Brockhoven trying to get the car going again, not opting for the spin. Up the mountain straight we go once again. Van Dryle seems to have lost a little bit of space there to Van Doren, as Van Doren can take it nice and safe into to the mountain section this time around. Parties close behind Cohen Geens. Through the corner we go. Obviously not close enough to attempt the overtake. It would have been a wild send there through Griffin's Bend. Up the mountain we go, trying to keep as close to each other as possible without losing too much aero. Party's really applying the pressure on Geens. If Geens makes a mistake, then he'll be so close that he might not be able to avoid it, but he have to be this close to try it down the Conrad straight. Whoa, getting a little bit loose it looked like from Parties and the 195 Alpha Simsport car, whatever it says down in the bottom. I think it does say that, yes. Through the corners go, looks like the McLaren gets a little bit of a gap there. It is hard to keep close through the very slow corners. Now it's all about the exit. Both cars closely. Looks like that Geens actually gets a really good exit there, and the Parties have to settle in behind, at least this time around down the back straight. Prixley already up to a 7.2 second lead. Schenkelin settling in behind. 2.3 down to Van Duren, and both Van Duren, Dreil and Schenk close together down there, or well, at least Van Duren are close to Schenk, as it's Bart Strarik who have the 2.3 second gap to Schenkelin's. Or Schillikins, as some might say, but I prefer Schenkelin's, that sounds more German. Van Duren in the East Spot car, still going. Wonder how many beers he have had this evening. Likely more than me, as usual. Unfortunate that his teammate Anthony is not racing with us tonight, but I think he's doing DIY stuff at home. Congratulations to you, Anthony, with the house. And say hi to the missus. I'll be by later, of course. Further down the field, Valencia, Vince and Barloso. Where are we on track? We are on the mountain straight. Coming into Griffin's Bend, this could be an overtake. Barloso seems to have the overspeed on the outside of Valencia, Vince. But the inside line just seemed to be the correct choice for Vince to defend that way around. And he does manage to keep position. Denise Pope trying the move on Craig Hill. Does move past Craig there. Good overtaking maneuver from the British driver of Denise Pope. Wild Things Racing, of course, doing wild stuff to get that overtake done. Not the safest place to make the overtake, but good drive for both the drivers to avoid any unnecessary contacts. Cresting the mountain. No one goes wide this time around. Through Skyline we go. From the helicopter cam or drone cam, hard to say really. I think it's a helicopter we have flying virtually over the track. We have painted with invisible paint so the drivers can't see it when they go around to keep them not distracted. The FedEx machinery delivering packages as fast as he can, though he might be trying to deliver one for the podium. He is currently set in P3 in the AM category, which would be a good performance from him. De Gore, the closest AM driver to him, we can just see him there in the background in the red and black McLaren. Once again, all top three in the AM category are McLarens, but Cohen Geens under pressure. Further down the field, big pressure again with Brooklyn and Buckland. He have made the move there on Van der Voort. It looks like I have another car stuck in the background. Parked out there, was that Vince? It could have been, as the Honda of Blitzmer goes for the move inside through Murrish. Can he get 2 for 1 here? He does get 2 for 1. Good move from Blitzmer and the Honda driver there. Not the best from Van der Voort. Getting overtaken by 2 drivers in the same corner. Wins into the pits. He goes to get the probably damage repairs. Might be the first retirement, the first victim so far this evening. As Blitzmer have to defend it now down the mountain straight. Does looks like the McLaren of Van der Voort backed out of that one, trying to avoid any contact. But do mind you out there that these drivers could be on different strategies. We might see the Honda of Blitzmer running only half tank of fuel to take fuel and tires in the race, where the other drivers could be fully fueled. Hard to say. De Gore gets close to the mountain there. Steve Parker chasing him behind through the mountain. See both of the cars with a slight wiggle. Different lines. That could be the opportunity for Parker to get really close up the ring of De Gore down the straight. This would be for P4 in the AM category, as Denise Pope have caught onto the back of these guys. getting rid of Crickhill quite handsomely from Denise. She could be an outsider for a dark horse, sort of, say, for the AIM podium in the all-pink machinery. Sort of reminds me a little bit of the Iron Dames Porsche they used to run with the pink and black. Good looking cars, of course. Good to see the Porsche also being selected. Not the most popular car at the minute, which is a bit of a shame. Only 2 of them here in the AIM category, though it is a reasonable count. 10 minutes of driving have passed, and Pixley have 10 seconds of lead further down the field, but Van Drijl still on the tail of Aaron Van Doren. Jesse Van Drijl doesn't look like he is playing the smart game and just taking the aim. The Gore must have been involved in something in Morris' corner. Big damage on that car. Could have been something with Steve Parker. Could have been a solo incident as well. Hard to say, as this puts Steve Parker up into third in the AM category, and Cohen Geens second. Of course, Denise Pope will be looking for it shortly to get that podium snatched away. But Van Drijl really pushing it to try and stay as close to Van Doren as possible. It does look like Van Doren and the Mercedes have the edge down the straights, a little bit more straight line speed than Van Drijl, it seems like. But both of these Dutchmen, they'll be duking it out for as long as the foreseeable future. It could be Van Doren in some issues with yellow flags in turn 1. I can't see exactly who that is on my screen. YouTube will probably help me, as that's Van Drijl. Van Drijl seems to have binned it there as Brockhoven. Brockhoven further down, but Van Drijl bins it in the mountain section. That's very unfortunate for Van Drijl. First victim of the day in the mountain. Seems like big cars further down. That's Partys. And is that Steve Parker's car I see there behind as well? Could be hard to say. We'll have to wait until they go over a timing line to figure out exactly what's been going on there in the standings. But this will definitely shake up the midfield in this race. That could have been Steve Parker's car. He have dropped to 12th position. Where's Denise Pope in all of this? That's the interesting thing. Is she up into second in class now? That could be. No, she's third or fourth. Fourth, it looks like. 9th overall. Geens. Van Drijl seems to be still ahead of Denise on the standings, though I find that hard to believe. Although he could have gotten the car going quickly and then just run around with a bit of damage. Van Drijl into the pits, yeah, he got it going quickly, but this promotes Denise Pope into 3rd position at the minute. Interesting to see what Van Drijl will do for the rest of the race. He could probably go to the end here on 1 tank of fuel. Getting the damage fixed, that will be his best bet, depending on how much damage he have on that car, of course. How long the pits will be. De Gore into the pits, Steve Parker into the pits, also involved in that mountainous incident. Very unfortunate. I think that we'll get a replay of that shortly for everyone out there wondering what happened in that session. First we'll get to see what happened to De Gore down into to Morris. It looks like something went on with him. Does he touch the grass or gets too much of the inside curve? None of those outside grass. Ooh. Looked like a millimeter of the tire might have touched the grass there. But too early on the throttle and on the curb at the same time. Not the greatest of combinations. That curb can be lethal in any car, especially the McLaren. Well, and the Honda, of course, but hopefully Blitzman won't prove that to us later in the race. But those crashes have put a little bit of have settled the race down a bit, as gaps have seemed to be formed on the track. No one's closer than 0.4 of a second, which would be Frank Hobb on Brooklyn further down the field. That should be a matter of shape for Hobb to get that move done at some point in the race, as he have already caught up massively after having to start from the pits. I wonder if Frank even got to do any practice before this race. Will be interesting to see. Here we have the battle between Frank Hobb and Peter Brookland. But the thing is, it's one thing to catch up to a driver, but it's a whole other thing to get the move done. You have to take your time, find the right place, and don't be too overly aggressive. there have to be room for you to put your car in there and not trying something silly and taking yourself out in the attempt, and the other driver, of course. But I think that most of these drivers, as race car drivers, do think of themselves first and foremost. Here's what happened in the mountain. This is part T's that we're following around. We might see Parker come and collect him. Sees the car out there. Woo! Spins it around. I think he notices the parked car and then he spins it trying to avoid. Now the yellow flags are out. Denise Pope does a good job. He is going the wrong way on track. It looks like that Parker just took the escape road down the down Skyline there. Normally you're not allowed to do that, but I think he does a good job there of getting to a point where he can get the car turned and getting back going again without causing too much of a hassle or putting other cars at risk. As trying to turn the car in the mountain section with a 3-point turn might be a little bit difficult with these machineries. Yellow flags in the mountain section once again. A bit unfortunate. Was that the 4th, 5th? That's the 14 car. That's Iron van der Linden. That was the leader of the AM class who got spun there. He's now behind Barlow, so that means that he's down to 10th position, which promotes Cohen Geens into the lead of the AM category and Denise Pope into 2nd. Very unfortunate there from van der Linden. Just about under 20 minutes into the race, and the mistakes seems to be happening now. Not that I should be holy, as I did the exact same thing 2 times last week. So this can happen to anyone. And not just these guys, of course. But van der Linden will try to get back on it, and maybe he'll take the early pit stop now, depending on how much damage you have taken, of course. Because if it's only a slight bit of damage, it might not be worth it, as you're likely to pick up some later in the race as well. Let's see what he does. Does he dive into the pits or keeps going? He keeps going. Keeping the car alive. Those tires must have been cooked over that after spinning it up there in the mountain. A replay coming up here of what happened. Let's get an honest look of it, though. He could be lucky that he just spun it out into the gravel trap. Nope, wall tap. 360, 720 almost. Just needed one more half rotation there to get that done. Good job of letting the cars go through into the wall. Craig Hill goes through, then he starts moving. Ooh, that could have been rough, but Barlow also does a good job of noticing that van der Linden starts moving and keeps out of that one. A bit of a twist in the AM category at the minute. Cohen Geens leading the AMs around the track. That Felix car might be delivering a package to the top step of the podium in the AM category. That would be a wonderful achievement for Cohen, having done a good job so far this season. This would be the crown jewel of his championship, or the top performance, at least if he can keep it going. But still, 57 minutes to go of this race. Anything could happen, and Denise Pope is not far off behind. Though the gap have seemed to be quite steady around that 2.5, 2.6 seconds over the last couple of laps between these drivers. Brock Oven into the pits trying to repair some damage, of course, for him. Down the mountains, the Conrad Straight, over the small crest on the back of that straight, this straight. Wonderful view, seeing the cars crest that small crest. Maybe I shouldn't say crest as much, because crest is being said way too much in this this stream. Crest. Cohen Geens. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. If you fancy it, hit the bell. You have to say that on YouTube, of course, elsewise YouTube will get our souls. That is the agreement that we have all made when we started putting stuff up on YouTube. Speaking of drivers that we haven't seen much of, and hitting the like button and subscribing, Richard Prixley pulling further away in the top of the field. But whether or not that he can keep this Nissan under control for the entirety of the race and keep life in those tires will be the interesting thing. He might be on a strategy where he only takes fuel, or if he takes the tires, it could become a little bit more interesting. Tiny bit of a slide there, almost 17 seconds of a lead he's got so far, but back down with Swearing and Shinklins. They are getting close together within a second over the timing line just before the mountain section. Well, that Shinklins can keep the pressure on and and get this second position in the race. We'll just have to wait and see as the racing goes on and on and on. Around the track they go. Some nice greenery over the track when the helicopter's flying on this side. I don't think that these are typical European oaks. I'm not a big tree man, so I'll just call them Australian grand trees. Or maybe just trees, hard to say. Some kind of unwanted growth in the green areas. Some might call them wanted, but this close to the racetrack, imagine if the lightning strikes during the race. Although they will probably cancel the race before that happens, but it is what it is. Frank Hopp have pinned it in the mountain section. And now just trying to block the road, not that there's anyone coming for the foreseeable future of where he is on track. But that's unfortunate from Frank Hopp starting from the pits in this race. He might not have put the practice in needed to get familiar and confident with the mountain. Van der Linden and Barlow close together. Van der Linden recovering after his spin in the mountain section. And slight contact with Mr. Barrier. He will be trying to apply the pressure on Barlow. I'll tell you what, even though Barlow doesn't seem to have the greatest pace around this track, he have managed to keep it out of the wall so far, and that is sort of the main key to performing well at Mount Panorama. Keeping your car clean, not taking the damage, not having the big incidents, not having the spins. How hard he will fight this against Arne van der Linden, we'll have to wait and see. Does look like that he's taking a somewhat defensive line into to the corner, though no point that as van der Linden wasn't quite close enough to go for that move. Although this time around van der Linden does have half a look on the outside, thinks wise of it and backs out. Now he'll have to stay tucked in behind through the mountain section. It is actually possible to get an overtake in at Skyline if you're super brave. But I would not recommend trying that. Then you basically rely on the car ahead making a slight mistake. You have the perfect distance, which it seems like Van der Linden have to take advantage if the mistake happens. Though no mistakes this time. Yellow flags down the mountain. It's the number 30 car. It's a Brockhoven who is spun. Let's see what happens. Ooh, he stays nicely in there to the wall. Hard to see the car. It looks almost camouflaged with the paint scheme he's running. Does look like Van der Linden bailed out a little bit more throttle-wise than Barlow down that mountain section with the yellow flags ahead of him, not knowing what was around the corner. We're driving from Van der Linden in that situation. Brockhoven is still just parked there. Does he have some kind of an technical difficulties? I hope he's okay. Parked under the yellow flag. If we go on board and see if the wheel is moving in the car, maybe, and we can decide what's going on. Hard to say. He returns to garage. He must have had severe damage after that that incident. Parties behind Blitzma. Parties for this does look like that it have been like this for a little bit of time, but Parties could be trying the move on the Honda driver. Well, not from this distance, of course, but he will definitely try to pace himself up to the kind of sort of speed that Blitzma can do, and keep it going to have the interesting fights further down the line. Just thinking about the race so far, top 5 are all silver drivers. Normally in these tier 2 races we see one AM driver sneaking in there. And then from the next 5 will be AM drivers. Good to see, and then these two silvers further down the field in 11th and 12th, and then Frank Hopp, the last place silver, still running in this race in 15th. Also starting from the pits, having done a good recovery. The 3 cars furthest down the pecking order at the minute have all taken their pit stops quite early. Wouter Vincent have taken the pit as well, but he's in P16 or 17th. Van Dosbergen haven't taken the stop yet. Van der Wood in the pits at the minute, though that's the guy we saw, RTG, so that's not technically a pit stop. Those who are wondering out there on the on YouTube what the markings mean next to the driver names and stuff, you have the numbers on the left. the car with the red square, or the number of the red square around, that's the car that we are following currently on track. The purple square on that side means the driver possesses the fastest lap of the race. Then we have the names, then we have manufacturers. Next to that we have the car numbers, the numbers of the cars, the entry numbers for this series. The ones with the grey background and white numbers, that's the silver drivers, the silver category of the second tier championship, or well, the SSRI GT3 championship. The red boxes with the black writing, that's the AM category, even though those drivers are battling so hard that calling them AM might be a little bit of an understatement or overstatement. They are definitely not AM drivers as Blitzman jumps into the pits. Next to that we have a long line where next to most drivers you will have a sort of like orange box with a 1 inside. That indicates that the driver still needs to do 1 pit stop in this race. They still have 1 mandatory stop. When that pit stop is done, that box will turn green. And that will indicate that they don't need to stop anymore in the race according to rules, though they could stop again if they so wish to. Though that wouldn't be recommended strategy-wise, but you never know if someone will try a 2-stop on this one. Next to that, on the top of the screen, there is it sort of just says 12 laps. That's the amount of laps that the leader have done or is on at the minute. Next to that, or under that, you'll see the amount of seconds the cars are behind the car ahead of them. And then all the way to the right, you can see 1 white box for P inside that indicates that the driver are in the pit at the minute. That was just a little rundown of the information you can see on the screen. Top right hand corner, you have the current track conditions and the weather for the next half hour. Divided into 3. Ambient track and track temp next to that, and then the wind direction. In the middle of the screen, you have the time remaining in the race. The green bars on the sides of the text that says race indicates that there are no yellow flags on the track at the minute. If yellow flags come out, they will turn yellow. Next to that, time of day. Bottom right hand corner, car that we are following at the minute. I hope that was not too difficult to understand out there in the YouTube world. If there are any new viewers out there, that might have been helpful for you, though I would highly doubt that anyone would be watching this that don't know what ACC is. But hey ho, you never know. On board with Mick Shinklins, the 39 car, currently 3rd overall and 3rd in the silver class. And driving the Porsche 911 992. Into someone's Bend we go. Always seem to forget that it's Griffin's Bend, but it's a Bender at least. But once again, he just have to tuck in behind. There's nothing he can do from this distance. He needs to be much closer when they come down the mountain than this to try to run into to the ding dong. Although he could also try to just nail the ding dong and Murray's corner, then Hill's corner, then get the run into to Griffin's Bend. But he needs to be so much closer if he wants to get this move done. It is all a matter of patience. At some point the driver ahead of you might make a mistake and you just have to be there to take full advantage of it. Patience and full concentration. Down the corner we go. Ooh, not the best of lines for any of the drivers. That better line from Shinklins. This could be his opportunity. Although it does look like that the Swearing gets a nice enough drive out of that to keep Shinklins behind. If Shinklins had nailed that one, he could have been on the right up the tail of Bart Swearing. Or Swearing, as I think they say in Dutch. Yes, I'll try and do pronunciations of the last names, as I think they should be pronounced from the countries that I assume that they come from. Maybe I shouldn't do that, as that could get us into trouble. Thoughts out there on YouTube about that?
Remember to comment to drivers that you want to see more of in the race. Then we might just be kind enough to show them.
But you never know. You really never know. We all know that Crawford out there supporting Prixley and Van Duren out there supporting... Oh sorry, Te Horst out there supporting Van Duren. But we still don't know who Justin is rooting for, if he's still watching this wonderful race. As things are just popping around on my screen at the minute, not doing what I want them to. Once again, these drivers doing such a good job. Blue flags ahead of them. Will Schenklin sneak through as well before the mountain? Does do that. Good job there. That was Van Dosberg, I think it was, that they just managed to get a lap on. Seem to remember that that's Van Dosberg who have that beautiful livery and his machinery. Further down the field, Parties and Brooklyn. They are right at it, coming into, Parties and Van der Linden it is, of course. Into Griffin's Bend. Parties gets the move done there on Van der Linden. Sneaky driving. Can Van der Linden strikes back before we go up the mountain? Not entirely sure. No, he can't. So he'll have to tug in behind at least for the mountain section. Remember that Van der Linden are carrying damage from that earlier spin. I think Parties also got involved in something earlier in the race. Might have a bit of damage very close to the wall there. He must have traded paints with the barrier there. Did Parties. Looks like that Van der Linden is lifting a little bit over the mountain section, trying to not push it fully, knowing that just staying in the game. Yellow flags down this section. Craig, he'll have spun the car around. Ooh, Craig, stay there. Just go, Craig, go, Craig. All free, Craig. Come on, Craig. Keep going, Craig. Backmarker Motorsports, one of the maybe my top 2 favorite team names. Or top 3 favorite team names. Obviously, Untalented Motorsports being up there as well, but we don't see them racing tonight. And then the Stubborn Owl Racing, good names that we like to say as much as possible in the commentary booth. Bit unfortunate from Craig Hill. He was onto a good drive so far this evening or afternoon. In-game time, of course. Cohen Gein still leading the AM category. I'll tell you what, he have caught up a lot to Dimitri Schenk as of late. Maybe Schenk have made a slight mistake at some point, as Cohen Gein could at some point maybe look to get the overtake done on Dimitri Schenk. But whether or not that he'll actually do it, I think wise often and just maintain position and not risk anything in regards to winning the AM category, that we will have to wait and see. If it was me, I would attack just to have the fun in the race. But hey ho, different drivers think differently. Craig Hill goes into the pits. Wonder if he's from Newcastle. Craig Hill. Oh, maybe I should do that. Cohen Gein following close behind, having the Audi sponsors on the wall. Oh, he's not an Audi. The Audi sponsored car. Was thinking of the yellow McLaren. Nevertheless, they still run up the mountain. Such a beautiful look of the cars when they go through the mountain section around this track. Sort of looks like toy cars, very planted. Little bit of an oopsie there from Dimitri Schenk, brings Gein close in. Down through Skyline. Gein's taking a lot less curb than Dimitri Schenk at that point. I also didn't like those curbs in the McLaren, to be perfectly honest. So it is interesting that I'm not the only one who didn't like those. Gein and Schenk down the Conrad Straight. No kangaroos so far this race. It would be interesting to see a little bit of a kangaroo stoppage in this race and get some safety cars out there to get the field bunched up once again. But that's unfortunate. DeGauray making the move further down the field. That's on Dosberg. DeGauray spins out. Ooh, collects Dosberg on the unfortunate of the continuous spin there. From DeGauray. Dosberg just manages to get out of the way of the oncoming traffic. And that was Denise Pope and Steve Parker who just knocked through. Van Dosberg still parked waiting for a clear gap, doing a good job of waiting. Now he can go if someone wants to. He does start going. I think that will be his mandatory pit he will come in to take. That car looks trashed. Might have suspension damage as well, the way that car seems to be pulling. Pit lane he goes into. Van Dosberg very unfortunate there. DeGauray spinning it out and yeah, just nothing Van Dosberg could have done there to avoid. Brixley coming up to put a lap in on Wouter Blitzma. Oh, around him he went there 26-second lead at the minute to Swearing. It doesn't matter at this point if Brixley takes fuel or not. He's likely still going to come out ahead of Swearing, or I mean tires or not. 30 seconds are the time that it costs to take the tires, though just fuel only I think is 3.4 seconds. So he is right on that magic point at this point in the race. There might be some a weird mixture of national anthems on the podium, Japanese and English together, if Prixty keeps this one home. That's not something that we are used to hearing, of course. Shinklin's still on the attack, or at least trying to be on the attack on Bart Swearing. Yellow flags again in the mountains. That's Parties who's stuck behind. That's one of the Golf Leo Ricars. Is that? It's not Van der Linden, it's the other guy. It's Wouter van der Voort, I think. In the number 6 machinery. Yes, it is. THRC. #2, even though the car is number 6. But he is keeping the car going. Wonder if he's going to take a second pit stop to fix damage, or if he didn't have a high enough impact speed there to really cause an issue for the car. Back to Geens, still battling the stubborn owl racing machinery of Dmitry Schenk. Oh, battling, following along. He's losing not quite a bit of time, but Pope have caught up by about half a second as of late to these guys. So for Denise, this is actually quite nice if they start battling Dmitry Schenk and Cohen Geens. This will put her right into the mix of this. As when these drivers come around this time, we are about the halfway point. As the drivers who are opting for tires, they will be coming into the pits. Around this time in the race, at least within the next 3 laps, would probably be optimal for those guys. Barloso and Parties in the pits. Though we just saw that incident in the mountain section, that could their stops could be due to that, but it could also be strategy, and they have come in to take their a sleeker set of tires. At least serve their mandatory pit stop is what they're doing at the minute. Here's a bit of a replay of what just happened in the mountain section following Van der Voort. Let's see it get a little bit loose. The rear doesn't seem too stable on that Ferrari. To be perfectly honest, what does do not? Oh, just loses it there. Hits the inside, hits that wall. Yeah, that will have quite a bit of damage. Barloso touches Parties, touches teammate, avoids narrowly. Yeah, I think that's why we saw Parties and Barloso into the pits. If you anyways have to get the pit done and take the damage repair, then you might as well get it done when the damage is nice and fresh. Geens really close to Dmitry Schenk this time down the Conrad Straight. Does he have the overspeed to try for the move into the Domino's ding dong corner? He does go for whoa! He just goes wide there, understeers completely off track. This will definitely bring Denise Pope into this one. Spins it, don't do it, Denise. Ooh, just got around. Good aware driving. Interesting thing, that's a corner where I once had a big incident with Denise as well. The first time I ever experienced a tire blowing up on me in this game happened just as I hit the brakes, and unfortunately I managed to collect Denise in that one. But that's not why. That's not called the. That's not why it's called the Domino's Ding Dong Corner. That's a story for another time. But Cohen Geens up here, Chris is asking me in the background what car I was driving. I think I was driving the Ferrari back then, and Denise could have been in the Nissan maybe. I anyways was stupid enough to just go onto YouTube and find a hot lap setup and load that, or put that onto my my car for the race, and obviously it just slight taps on the wall during the stint. The tires didn't hold up to that, and yeah. Tire blew up. Actually happened twice in that race, as I pitted immediately to get it fixed, and then it blew up again in the last lap. But hey ho, that's why I don't run too aggressive setups in a race, especially on a track like this where temperatures often go very high. I do believe that we had a 40-degree track temp for that race, if not 43. Richard Prixty into the pits. He's very likely taking fresh tires as he comes in at this point. Ian van der Linden in the pits as well, likely also in there for the tires. That will be P3 in the aim category. Interesting to see where he'll re-emerge on the track. Whether or not that Wouter Wins can maybe snatch a few positions in this pit stop round. Michael DeGore and Steve Parker close to each other on track. Both of these drivers are probably thinking of what could have been if the incidents didn't happen to them. But yeah, it is what it is. Van der Linden is moving out of the pits again, I can't really see where he comes out. We'll have to wait until they cross the timeline. Who's that in the white car? I feel like that we do know that car. That's Bart Swearing, I think it is, who could have inherited the lead of the race. I think he haven't inherited the lead of the race actually from Richard Priestley, though. For Swearing to get this to work and maintain the lead at the end of the race, it will be very difficult for him, as Priestley already had a big enough gap that even if Swearing only takes a lead of fuel and keeps going afterwards, then he Priestley will still emerge ahead after the pit stop round. Unfortunate for Swearing, as he have put a mighty drive together this afternoon of Australian racing or in-racing sim racing time. This evening of European racing. Craig Hill back on the track. P11, you know what? That's Jesse Van Dijl ahead of him. Jesse did a good job earlier in the race, and can be very happy with the pace, at least from Van Dijl. But those minor mishaps that caused a bit of damage and forced maybe Van Dijl off strategy, that's what probably ruined the race of the Dutchman. As I'm just trying to get some stuff. Really, no, why is this not working on my screen as I get stuff back up? YouTube chat is a bit boring in this race. Someone say something in the chat to know that we're not just here for no one. Please, we are bored. Oh, YouTube chat, save us. Save us! Maybe not. Further up the field now, about Swearing, Schenkelins goes into the pits. That could be a strategical pit to get out, although that will probably be for fresh tires. Denise Pope on the move on Dimitri Schenk now. This could be quite interesting, as she is currently leading the AM category, and she just goes for the move nice and easy there on Dimitri Schenk. Dimitri didn't have anything to defend with. It looked like, as Denise just saw past on the outside. Good move from Denise. Or at least very rare driving from Demetrius. He knows that his race is not with Denise in this one. I should say Pope. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting with Wild Things Racing currently maintaining 4th and 5th. But how does that work when Denise just overtook Dimitri? They must be 3rd and 5th as they cross the timing line. Not close enough to do formation driving. It would be fun to see if Richard Priestley would slow down. Now they are 3rd and 4th. They would probably be hoping for red flag soon. Not that will happen in this race, unfortunately for them, but at least Denise would. I don't think Priestley would want to have any stoppage in this race, as that would make things quite a bit more interesting. Although he is a guy who loves battling and racing, so he might want to take the opportunity to get some battling done if that happened and have to overtake people. DeGore and Steve Parker still at it between each other. Two drivers who have seemed quite equally matched in other rounds of this championship. Though Parker does have a tendency to make some very minor mistakes that cost him big in the races. If he can just hold on for the next half an hour, he will manage to beat DeGore in this one. But we'll have to wait and see what goes on in the race. Ooh, that didn't look so good there. DeGore off the track. God keeps it under control. Nicely held, maybe not into the wall. Oh, why does Chris even say things? He just said nicely held in the background, which forced me to say it, and he totally commentator cursed right there. Secret commentating Tasers cursing him, actually. That might be the cameraman's curse of all curses that you can put on people, the worst one of all. But this means that Parker gets a little bit of a break from defending. Van der Linden catching up to Barloso. Over the mountain section, it should be a matter of form for Van der Linden to get around Barloso. Of the pace difference these two drivers have had this race so far. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, one thing is catching, another thing is overtaking. It's not equally easy. As more and more people come into the pits, I would assume that the last 4 drivers who haven't pitted yet are only stopping for fuel. Which is interesting that the top 2 drivers in the aim category are doing that. It would theoretically be the fastest way of doing this race. But of course you'll have to suffer on the old tires. Van der Linden sends it up the inside, does manage to get it stopped on the apex there, though Barloso smart enough then, knowing that Van der Linden was too far away to do that, and just going a little bit wider to avoid any chance of contact and letting Van der Linden try for the inside, but no luck there from Van der Linden. As Barloso could easily manage to hold on to that one. Van der Linden looking forward again, sending it from a big distance. This time it seems like he might have had no. Barloso's again smart then, getting the better exit. Van der Linden might be a little bit desperate to get this move done before the mountain section, as he doesn't want to be slowed down too much, as Van der Linden might have a chance of catching up to other drivers in the race as well. Trying the outside move this time around. No, we have to back out of this one. Van der Linden, he must stay behind for the mountain section, unless if he can get the move done. Final chance before they go up the mountain. Oh, Van der Linden have backed out. No, he does show himself forcing or at least Barloso giving Van der Linden the room on the inside if he wanted it. Though none taken there from Van der Linden. Good aware driving from Barloso. Really proud of that style of driving. And not taking any chances when people come to try and overtake. Nicely done. Nicely done. Ooh, Barloso getting loose there. Now the move could be on into Skyline. Van der Linden backing out of it. Getting very close down Skyline. Wall touching almost, it looked like, as they will get company soon to be led by Van Doren. Exit out of the dip of Van der Linden. Not good enough on the exit, but will he just try the big send into the Domino's Ding Dong one more time? It will be interesting to see. It is a little bit far behind, and if it does make contact from this, that would not look good on Van der Linden. The smartest thing for Van der Linden would probably just to be stay behind for the Ding Dong and then try it into to Morris or even Hell's Corner. Have tucked in behind. It looks like that Van der Linden can go so much later on the brakes, so he might try for it, sending it, going to the inside, keeping it tight. This time it worked from Van der Linden. Good overtake, but again Barloso leaving a lot of room there on the inside for Van der Linden, braking early to try and avoid any chance of incidents. Barloso such aware driving. That's what we like to see from the drivers in this tier. It's not that often that we see the crazy moves that end up in big hard breaks. Often that would be driver mistakes that end up in big hard breaks. In this tier, as Van Doren does manage to lap Barloso this time around. Will he get? I don't think that Van der Linden is far enough back to Van Doren that Van Doren can lap Van der Linden before the mountain section. He will have to wait until the Conrad straight there, Van Doren, if he can get the gap close enough. But yeah, upside hope into the pits. It would be somewhat reasonable to assume it's a fuel-only stop. Those with pit wall live open could probably tell me how long she stopped for in the pits, or how long her pit stop took compared to Richard Prixley, as that would be an easy comparison. If it's shorter than Prixley's by a dozen of seconds, then it's definitely a fuel-only stop. But it could also be tires then going for a qualifying styled run here in the last 26 minutes and full sending it. Obviously Geens goes ahead of Denise Pope as she's stationary in the pits, but I think she is moving again and will actually emerge in a decent gap on track. This could be very good for Denise, as she'll have some clean air to try and lap. lap in now and get as much of an advantage over Geens as possible. Once again, good look on the pink machine. Pope have done a superb job this evening. We have seen Pope in these 1 hour 15-minute races, or at least last time we did them at Kota, also trying an alternate strategy of, although that time boxing super early to avoid the battling in the early part, or basically during the entirety of the race, and getting a lot of clean air around her. That worked. I wouldn't say to perfection for her, but it worked nicely. So I think she did gain positions out of that by the end of it. So yeah, good aware strategy management from the Wild Things Racing team, at least for Denise Pope. Prixley is so fast that he doesn't need strategy to do anything in the races. He could basically put a 2-stop and still be competitive for race wins in this, it seems like. As he's only 10 seconds away from having an entire pit stop on Aaron Van Doren. Owen Geens responds to Denise's pit stop. So Cohen Geens in the pits. Let's just follow Denise Pope and see if she overtakes Cohen Geens when Geens rejoins the track after having served his pit stop. Geens have just recently stopped in the pit box. We'll have to wait for. He's definitely taking more than just fuel. Geens is taking tires if he's not moving yet. Don't think he is. He's now moving. He might just have taken a lot of fuel. I don't think he was stopped for the full 30 seconds there for fuel, but looks like Denise will. It will be close. This Cohen Geens actually jumps Denise. I think Denise might have taken tire and Geens haven't taken the tires, as it is still a somewhat long pit stop around here to just take the fuel in a 1 hour 15-minute race. It's not just the 1 liter splash and dash, it is quite a bit longer. So that's Geens we just saw in the foreground of the picture, and we can see in the bottom right hand corner that now disappeared. And Denise Pope here just running up. That's Geens just up the road. This could be a battle for the well, this would be for Ames second, as Wouter Vince is actually leading Ames after his very early pit stop. That's interesting. 2 seconds between Vince and Geens, 2 seconds between Geens and Pope. Top 3 in Ames separated by a total of what? That would be 4 seconds. Roughly. Slightly more than 4 seconds to be perfectly honest, but very, very close in the AM category at the minute after this pit stop round. Good to see other cars than McLarens doing well in the AM category, of course, as the season have been dominated by the McLarens. Denise could drive herself into a position where she could be battling for the top 3 in the championship standings if she takes home a good result from Mount Panorama on this evening of racing, which would open it up for the final round of the season, being Valencia. The Tier 1 drivers, the pros and the semi-pros, will go racing next week around Valencia for a 1 hour sprint race. Most of the drivers have just competed in a 6-hour endurance race, though not all of them in the same cars, but definitely brought something that everyone can take with them to the race of experience. These drivers will do it the week after, so in 2 weeks' time we'll have the season finale of the Tier 2 SSRI GT3 Season 5 Championship. World Championship, I should say. We do like to go all-American on it. Geens not doing well. Denise Pope for the inside. That Denise does take the inside line, gets the move done nice and swiftly, not losing too much time, but it's now about a 7-second gap for Denise Pope to catch up to Wouter Vince, who had the instance earlier in the race. But interesting to see whether or not that Denise have the pace to catch up to Wouter in 6th overall and first in aim. Further down the field, Jesse Van Dryle getting closer and closer to Wouter Blitzman in the Honda, the mighty green Honda. Some might say mucus green. Hard to say exactly what type of green yellowish color that he went for there, or the reasoning behind the color scheme. But nevertheless, that's the colors that he chose. But yeah. Chris is just pointing out that he blends in with some of the barriers around here very nicely, especially down the the early sections of the mountain. There are some very nice yellow-greenish sponsors on the wall. If you want to know what the sponsors are, then read them yourselves. As I am not fast enough to read this somewhat blurry imaging that I'm getting because we're doing Discord streaming for this. Also, why it might be sometimes hard for me to spot the car numbers on the track map. So I'm most of the time just guessing. Same with names around the my screen. They are also a little bit blurry from time to time, but it is what it is, you know. When we get the job done, at least try to, for the few people watching. Although I would assume that most of these drivers watch the race after the fact that they are done. Ooh, Van Dryle on Blitzman, what a move! Blitzman makes a small mistake, then Van Dryle takes full advantage of that in the Domino's ding-dong corner section. Van Dryle now 9th position overall, 4th in class. If you take out the incidents that he had early in the race, that he have done a superb job this evening. Only 5.6 seconds behind the final step of the podium. He could potentially still be on for a podium in this race. Denise Pope have taken about half a second out on Wout van Vince as well. I wish we had some commercials that we could put on so I could go get some water at this point, but hey ho, the racing is what it is. Well, it is still nice and tight throughout the entirety of the field. Some gaps have formed in the pro class. Wout van Vince actually also somewhat close to Dimitri Schenk. And Schenk definitely didn't take tires as he have as Schenke Links. Oh, that's Schenke Links I thought. No, that is Dimitri Schenk. Dimitri Schenk definitely didn't take tires as he have come out ahead of all these drivers, which means that Pope might have taken tires. That all of the AM drivers that we saw pitting might have taken tires, which means that Wout van Vince are definitely on a disadvantage, as he boxed so much earlier than both Pope, Geens, and Pope and Geens basically. That could come into play later on now. The gap between Vince and Pope are down to 3 seconds. Though Vince are being held up slightly by Dimitri Schenk at the minute. I don't think that Schenk will be battling Vince too much, as Schenk are quite a smart driver and he knows that his championship fight are not with these guys. It will be very interesting to see where Schenkelins are in regards to, or at least compared to Swearing and Van Duren once they've taken their pit stops. Two drivers staying out the longest, going for the fuel-only strategy. They did try something different to try and beat Richard Prixt in this one, but doesn't seem to have been enough. Wout van Vince still behind Dimitri Schenk. Obviously, Schenk is not just pulling out the way and letting Vince spiral. I don't think that he'll be defending overly aggressively for this position once it gets there, unless if he's very good friends with Denise Pope, then it could be an idea to keep the friendship alive, of course, helping Pope out a bit there with gaining some time. Over the crest on the mountain straight we go. 17 minutes remaining in the race. Easy way to count the laps in this one of how many laps remaining are dividing the minutes remaining by 2. Then you have the rough idea of how many laps remaining in the race. And then someone go, oh, you can't divide 17 by 2 because then it's not an equal number, then it will be point something. Yeah, screw you. Then round it up. Yellow flags after Griffin spent. That's part T's. It looks like we've been involved in something. He's moving slow. That's Swearing behind. Just letting him through nice and easily. Or was that Swearing? I don't think it was actually, though. It was the white Ferrari, and Swearing does drive a white Ferrari. It does ring a bell. I think it was Swearing. I'm sticking with it and saying that was Swearing that snuck around there. Chris Hill is confirming that it definitely was as well. Vince still behind Dimitri Schenk. Gap down to 2.1 seconds between Vince and Pope. And Van Dryle 4.5 up to Cohen Geens. Which means Van Dryle have also taken out half a second on Geens so far. So that could still be on for a battle in the later stages of the race, as Denise Pope really doing a good job, having maybe picked the right strategy, staying out a little bit longer on the tires, running the fuel tank as empty as she possibly could. Schenk with a small mistake there. Can Vince take advantage of this into hell corner? Doesn't look like it, not close enough. It would be good for Vince to get an AM class win in the debut race of the livery of the car. Then it could possibly be considered a lucky livery. But we'll have to wait and see. As Denise Pope will definitely try to put a spanner in the wheels for that to happen. As she wants a double Wild Things Racing win tonight, as it does look like that Priestley will take the silver class. Will be some great photo opportunities with the two different generations of Wild Things cars next to each other if they choose to do that, or at least in the park for May they can take all the pictures they want. This time Denise got really close as Dimitri Schenk made a mistake that cost Vince a lot of time. Now the battle is really on between these three drivers. Top 5 overall, of course, don't forget that. There's also an overall championship, though not that commonly referred to, as it's not that big of a deal. Oh well, for some it is. Look how close these drivers are through the skyline. Down the mountain section. Pope will definitely be trying to get some sort of a drive out of the dipper in this situation on board with Denise Pope. I think next time around we'll try and get on board all the way down the mountain section from skyline just to see how extremely fast these cars are going, and you really have to have it in muscle memory and still have fast hands to react to anything happening up there. Doesn't look like Denise will have the or Pope will have the run into to the Domino's Ding Dong. Definitely slightly quicker overall at the minute than round to Vince, although Vince are being held up by Dimitri Schenk, who's in a different class, and he is allowed to do it as they are battling for position on track. Though for Dimitri, this is only for the pride of getting the top 5 overall in the race. Although that could possibly change after he could possibly be in for top 3 if Swearing and Van Duren have not done well on strategy choices. Good run there from Pope. We'll try the outside line down the mountain straight. The hot pink and hot green cars next to each other. Neon green, I should say. But it is the outside line. Will Vince try for on the inside? No, Denise wisely cuts in, but not the best of exits there. Vince goes back on the inside. They're very close. Who's backing out of this? Will they try and make it side by? Whoa! If Denise hadn't backed out that one, that could have been a slight tap. Good we're driving again. But very aggressive driving from Vince. Good to see the aggressive but fair driving. Or aggressive but legal driving, I should say. Whether or not that it's fair being in the situation that Pope was in there, it is a little bit... you sort of get the feeling when you go into a corner like that and you see the other car turning in, you have to get off the throttle to avoid him turning in on your front end. Look, they want you to look at this, how fast they're going and how quick they're, or how close they're getting to those walls. Very fast movements and rotations of the cars. Over the small crest through the dipper. This time Schenk have a little bit more of a gap, and this actually does invite both Cohen-Geen. It invites Cohen-Geen slightly into this battle, and Van Dryle as well could be coming up quite shortly, making a 4-car battle for the top 4 positions in the AM category. Just hoping for the love of racing and Michael Schumacher, of course, that they can keep it clean between them when they get to the point where they come down to the business end of the race, which I would say that they are at the minute. Now it looks like that Vince have gotten the move done on Dimitri Schenk. No, Schenk defends it. And that could mean that Denise gets a run. Vince now on the inside of Schenk. Schenk doesn't have a chance to defend this one on the inside at least. As Denise just goes for the apex. Have to back out of that one. Checks up a little bit, getting the rear end loose. And now Cohen-Geens are in the fight as well. Geens on the outside of Denise Pope. Van Dryle also within half a second of this. This could be a historic finish to the end for the AM drivers. Geens got through Denise Pope there, though Pope is not done trying to keep it on the inside, just outside of the camera. Pope stays as Van Duren goes into the pits, and now Geens seems to be severely under pressure from Van Dryle. They're going side by side through the corner. Van Dryle slide tap to the wall there. Who's going ahead of this side by side up the mountain? This could not end well if they don't single file soon. Single file the win. Geens lost the position there to Van Dryle. This could mean trouble for Pope and wins further up the field, as Van Dryle have seemed to be the fastest AM driver pace-wise this evening of racing. 10 minutes to go, which is about 5 laps from when the time runs to 0 and the leader crosses the lap. Van Duren out of the pits again. Priestley obviously got ahead of him. Not sure where Schenkelins is compared to him. I think he's well clear of Schenkelins. Very close up here. Dimitri Schenk really driving this train. I think that these 4 AM drivers are just thinking, get the hell out of the way, Dimitri, and let the AM drivers have the battle between them instead of being there. But of course, Dimitri Schenk have all rights in the world to defend his position at this straight up track position, and could impact overall standings as well when that's counted up by the end of the season. Into the ding dong we go. Everyone getting through that cleanly. It does look like that Cohen Geens have lost a little bit to this train up ahead. But top 3 still at Denise on the launch slide contact. This means both cars spinning out. Oh, very unfortunate. No. That could have been the option for Denise to take the win in the AM category. Now it will be Jesse Van Dryle and Cohen Geens battling it out for top positions. I think Denise is very unhappy with herself for trying that move. I think we can get a replay of that at some point, as soon as Chris manages to find it in the background. Bart Swearing goes into the pits. Now it's all up to Cohen Geens to take Jesse Van Dryle down from the top step of the podium, though I think it's very unlikely that will happen. Following Schenkelins here, it's also, speaking of unlikeliness, that he will overtake Swearing from his pit stop. I think Swearing will emerge P2 in the race when everything is said and done, as he's likely just taking fuel for the last 8.5 minutes of the race plus a lap. Moving already again, he'll come out well clear of both Van Doren and Schenkelins. But where's Priestley in all this? Have Priestley already passed him? The big question. I do feel like, yeah, I think Priestley is already well up the mountain. Yeah, he's already up the mountain. Yeah, with a quite substantial lead. Now it's Jesse Van Dryle's turn to try and get the move done on Dimitri Schenk, who have seemed to defend quite well so far this race. Cohen Geens catching back up to Van Dryle, as Van Dryle needs to find a way through the Ferrari driver of Dimitri Schenk. It would be good for Van Dryle to do so, as that would put a car between him and the closest car in the AM category. Flashing the lights, it looks like, saying to Dimitri, I'm coming for you, word I can't say on YouTube. No, he's not trying to send. Dimitri takes a little bit of the grass there. This could be the chance for Van Dryle. Dimitri really having a fun race from his perspective, at least, with all this battling and defending. Van Dryle on the outside, if he's early enough on the front, he can do it. He's not, it looks like, but he will have the outside attempt through the next corner. He does have to be careful that he's not being parked out on the outside side, as that could mean that Geens could make the move on him. But very smartly backs out of that to defend on Geens, which is more important for Van Dryle than getting the move done on Dimitri Schenk at this point of the race. 7 minutes still to go. And the battling is tenser than ever, at least in the top end of the AM category. That stubborn Owl racing car is really living up to the name, as this time it looks like that Van Dryle will have the move done. Dimitri does not want to go side by side through this part of the corner. Now Van Dryle really needs to get his foot down and get as big of a gap as possible to Cohen Geens to make sure to secure this position, as Geens will also have to try and find a way through Dimitri Schenk, which we did see him have a few issues with earlier in the race, or earlier, not that long ago in the race, about 5 or 10 minutes ago. Steve Parker in the pits again. Wonder if he underfueled the car. Haven't seen any yellow flags for a while, so that could be the case for him. As it does look like that Geens is much faster through the mountain. Big mistake there from Dimitri Schenk. If Geens can stay on the tail of Dimitri down the mountain section, he can have a massive run into the Domino's ding dong corner. have to get early on the throttle and tuck into the slipstream. Dimitri just get a decent run out of the dipper. But Cohen Geens close enough to take advantage of the slipstream. It looks like he's getting the full suction going from that big wang. Coming up very shortly. Into the inside, he tries this. It is difficult to be side by side through this. As this downforce heavy corner, it looks like that Geens just lifted a tiny bit there to keep it as safe as possible. But Geens could be pressured for a P2 in class from Vince and Pope. If that sounds like a person, Vince and Pope, but Vince and Pope. If he doesn't get through shortly, Pope goes through round Vince in the background. Good move from Denise Pope. Once again, we have seen good moves from Pope all race. As usual, I should say, very experienced sim racer, although most of these drivers we see here are extremely experienced sim racers. But I seem to remember that Denise was racing back when I started racing in ACC, and that's at least 4 years ago at this point, I would say. Maybe just 3.5, but I think 4 years at this point, and Denise have been there all ever since. Knowing these cars quite well. And Pope will definitely be trying to catch up to Geens and snag the second place as a bare minimum of this race. Van Dryle already with a 3.6 second gap down to Dimitri Schenk. He is already gone, or at least Van Dryle are already gone. Hen is already gone, not knowing the correct sex. Yellow flags at the Domino's ding dong corner. Low numbered car, I think it's the 6 or 8, that's the Gore. Cutting the grass. An expensive way, not doing the best job there of avoiding the walls and barriers. Anyway, straight back to the battling we go. Cohen Geens down the mountain sections. Denise Pope right behind Dimitri Schenk ahead of them, but that's less important standings wise. It is the AM battles we are looking at. It's a battle for P2 in class. Cohen Geens and Denise Pope. Porsche versus McLaren. DDS Racing versus Wild Things Racing. FedEx livery versus the pink newer iteration of the Wild Things design. With the Colex sponsors on the Wild Things machine, as we are mentioning sponsors anyways with the FedEx thing. Might as well get that in there as well. Top drive so far. Not a foot put wrong. It is interesting that Van Dryle had those big mistakes early in the race and could still manage to recover to P5 overall. Whereas both Pope and Geens have seemed quite trouble-free in the race. Big pace gap there between those drivers, at least in this one. But very good, good close driving between the rest of the AM field today with their paces, especially up in this end for the podiums. This have been entertaining all race long. 2.5 minutes to go. Maybe Denise and the teammate Richard Prixley in the other Wild Things Racing car are speaking together at the minute. That could decide whether or not that we get an extra lap of racing by the end if Denise someone needs it to get past Cohen Geens. I do think that Prixley would do that to Denise. So if Denise gets by, then he'll try and enter the lap earlier. But Denise trying to move there. It's we're getting close to the desperation hours for the moves to be done if she wants the P2 in the race very close up the mountain. If Geens makes a mistake, then Denise could potentially try the move into Skyline, though it would be very risky. There was a mistake. Denise gets through into P2. Wasn't the overtake that anyone hoped for. Either Geens, Pope or Vince, but it was a slight mistake there from Geens, and that's what happens if you can't keep it on track. Then, then unfortunately he will lose out. He was under so much pressure there and probably very busy looking in the rear mirrors as well as trying to keep hold of the track. Big unfortunate mistake there, but that means that Geens are immediately under pressure from Mountain Vince for the final spot on the podium in the AM category. As I'm just trying to scout out where Richard Prixley on track. Prixley is actually just behind this group of cars, so he will start one more lap when he crosses the start-finish line. Then that will be his final lap of the race. But we can go back to that when he crests the mountain top, as they're still battling 4 positions further down the field. Craig Hill and the parties in it for P11 in the race. Also good job from Beditzma in the Honda. or a P10 at the minute, at least as we speak. Running a little bit wide there, does Hill. That means Partis goes up the inside for the move late in the race, and that's Prixley right behind them. As Prixley have started the final lap of the race for him. Everyone behind Prixley will be on the final lap, though these drivers ahead of Prixley will have to complete this one and one more. And this is what happened to Vince? Vince must have made a mistake as he is behind Blitzman at this point, but Blitzman could. This is an epic recovery drive, by the way, from Blitzman, early instance as well. Coming back up in the top 9, actually catching up to Geens and Pope, though it would be unlikely that he manages to get by them by the end of the race, as it is still 2.8 seconds up to those drivers. Following Pope down the mountain section, very close to Dimitri Schenk. Dimitri have seemed to be an almost impenetrable fortress of driving. No one have been able to come by him. Doesn't matter how much wang you're running on your car, it is just not possible to overtake Dimitri Schenk in this race. Really doing a good job driving that bus. Prixley going down the mountain for the final time. Probably thinking he's glad that this is over. That's Van Dosberg there, that's going slowly. Van Dosberg might just trying to get lapped by Prixley, not to have to complete one more lap of this agony from Van Dosberg so far. Pope not close enough to Dimitri Schenk. I think Pope is smart enough at this point that Pope will not try the move on Schenk. Unless if Schenk really makes a big mistake, that Pope will be more focused on just staying behind, maintaining position in class. And if it so happens that that Geens gets close enough, then Pope will pull off to some of the, I would say, S-tier driving, S-class, S-tier driving, when you sort of use the car ahead of you to help you defend from the car behind. As Richard Prixley rounds Murray's corner for the final time in the race. To finish the race, P1 Mountain Winds have retired from the race already in the pits. That is not good for him. Very unfortunate. Though he will still finish 11th as he has a lap on Craig Hill. But P1 for Richard Prixley as the battling still going. We can see in the bottom right hand screen the drivers finishing the race, and up in the main screen, the big screen, we have Denise Pope close behind Dimitri Schenk. Pope might actually try a hero move on the final lap just for the fun of it, as everyone loves fun and we are race drivers after all, putting the helmet on. Anyway, Smart Swearing comes in to finish second in the race. Not that big of an issue for him. Van Doren early battling in the race, finishing third in the beautiful CBSR Racing Mercedes. Schenklin's rounding Murray's corner to finish fourth. Battling still going on. Pope trying to keep it as close as possible down the mountain section. A little bit of a wiggle there from the Porsche driver. Not sure that Pope will get it done. Van Dijl will be the next car to cross the finish line and take home the AM class win. Great drive from Van Dijl. This is definitely one of the drives that I'll remember for a long time. What an extraordinary piece of driving Van Dijl have done there, coming back in this race. Having to do the overtakes as well on most of the AM drivers through the entirety of the race to get back up into to the AM lead. Great drive there from Van Dijl. Gold star to you, my friend. Gold star. Pope not close enough to Dimitri Schenk to go for the move challenge for it. It looks like Pope could also just have backed out to just stay away from it. Basically keeping it safe, nice and safe. Bring it home nice and easily, does today. Van Dijl have finished the race. Dimitri Schenk comes in finishing P6 overall. Well done by Denise Pope, finishing 7th and 2nd in AM class. Cohen Geens third in AM class, also a good job on a few mistakes that cost him big time there for Cohen Geens. Very unfortunate for Geens in that situation, as people have started leaving the server, so it's a little bit hard to keep going, following in what's happening further down the field, but I think I can find some timing screens here telling us what's going on behind them. Van der Linden finishes 7th, Dimitri Schenk in 8th, Partis 9th, Blitzman 10th, Craig Hill 11th, Steve Parker in 12th position. Unfortunate racing for most of the drivers back here. A few mistakes. No, I'm looking at qualifying results. I'm just spotting now. Just forget what I just said. I think that would be easier. nevertheless, what a race we had so far this evening. A little bit of a part mid-race where not a lot happened, but it surely came down to the business end at the end. We'll just hang about for a few seconds, seeing if anyone wants to come in and have a little bit of a chat with us about how the race went. But if no one does that, then we'll just quickly remind you that this was the fourth round of a 5-round championship. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll get the conclusion to all of this, where we will be trying calculating different championship scenarios before the race, seeing who needs to do what to get which positions. Top drive all round. Though I think it's quite certain that that the silver class will be won by Richard Prixley at this point, as he have just been so dominant in the last 3 rounds. It's almost not fair to anyone else seeing him drive around in that mighty Nissan there, the biggest wang on the field and the fastest car. Always fun to see. Boom, 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 boom. Still no one in the shed. It is a long way up to the shed for at Mount Panorama, of course, as we are placed all the way back in England, as that's the home place of the SSRI, or at least the broadcasting camera operations. At the minute, it was easier getting to that shed and bring all of the equipment to Denmark. So that's where we are basically, and the drivers have to do the obviously like 20-hour flights from Bathurst, Australia, up here to get in here, and then of course the 4-day hike to find us at the top of the hill where the shed is placed. Few highlights rolling in the background. This was an interesting race. A lot of good overtakes, I would say, in the race, and even though that there were mistakes in the race, I don't think it was that many, considering the track. It is a very, very difficult track that the drivers had to get around today. But yeah, it is what it is. Those who managed to keep their cars clean, good job to you guys, and yeah, keep it going, keep it going. You know what? I'll just force someone in here. As we are joined in the commentary booth by Dimitri Schenk, who will have to get his microphone working. Hello, Dimitri, and good job. We saw you in the later parts of the race doing a massive defensive job keeping cars behind.
Yeah.
I assume you had a good time driving today.
Yeah, I did actually. I mean, I was a massive roadblock, I guess, because the car was absolutely short. The steering wheel was not right, you know. It was a bit to the right, so the left-hand corners, they were absolutely terrifying, and I had to drive like that for like 60 minutes. So my only I figured I'll stay on the old tires. That was my only gamble to stay in the top 5, but that meant I was a massive roadblock in the second half of the race.
Yeah, it's actually some inspired defensive driving that might be one of the defensive performances that will go down in history as one of the better ones. As even though that people say it's difficult to overtake on Mount Panorama, that is true through the mountain, but down all the straights, it surely is difficult. Did you just focus on keeping the exits nice and clean and full throttling out, or?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last corner, going down the mountain, and then the massive long straight, I was down on top speed for I don't know how many kilometers, but I was down on top speed. So I tried to get a good exit over there, and then once again a good exit onto the start finish line, and then exiting turn 1. That was my only focus, and you know, on the rest of the mountain you can't really do anything, except for, I guess it was Jesse van Driel. He overtook me in turn 3-4, I guess. So that was a great move by him. But otherwise,
I was just about to say that the only one that slipped through the cracks of the defensive brick wall was Van Driel in this one.
Yeah, he decided to go on the inside on turn 2, and I left him a bit of space, and he took the opportunity to get a better exit than me, and so he could gain on me going into turn 3. So that was a really nice job, and Otherwise, I think I have to look it back. I think I kept it relatively clean. I know I was braking a lot earlier than people might anticipate, so that might have been a bit scary for them. But I have to look it back. I think it was relatively clean, and I enjoyed defending it like that. So yeah, it was a fun race. It was weird. It was scary, especially the turn 4, because the car would just snap on me every single lap. So that was scary, but it was fun, and I think a really great race because of my roadblock for the what is it? Amateurs.
The aim drivers, yeah. That sure brought everything together. But one final question before we move on to the next driver, as the shed is getting very tightly packed at the minute. What are you looking forward to in 2 weeks' time when we finish off the season at Valencia?
Yeah, absolutely. I have never driven that track. I actually have to buy the DLC. Still haven't done it, so it's gonna be fun. But I'm surprising myself this season because I'm doing better than I expected to. So I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy Valencia, and if the mountain can be very, very clean and very fair and square racing, I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy Valencia as well.
Oh, Valencia is a different sort of beast, but thank you for joining us in the interview room, at least, Dimitri Schenk, and we're looking forward to hear from you next time. Also in the interview room at the minute, readying up in the background, getting the microphones on, Bart Swearing. Second place in the race today, Bart. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks, Oliver.
And we did see Prixty just running away with it early on in the race, and a few battlings going on early, but besides that, seemed to be a little bit of just keeping the pace and keeping the car out of the wall type of race for you.
Yeah, that was it, keeping it out of the wall, and I managed to do it, so yeah, that's it. But I was sweating like a pig. I was driving my heart out, and yeah, the competition was coming, so I had to keep the pace.
Yeah, and also interesting from you and Van Duren. You guys both went for the very late pit stop, which I also mentioned earlier in the stream was probably the fastest strategy to go with. Was that planned before the race, or something that took into account that you wanted that late pit stop to stay out of traffic, maybe, or what was your thoughts about that?
I wanted to keep all my options open, and yeah, knowing the track and knowing my history on the track, that in and about 3 laps I always crash. So yeah, this was the right way to go, I guess. So yeah, the tires, yeah, were keeping up well. So I just went on, and at the end I just did a small splash and dash, and yeah, that was it. But the tires, they kept going. No problems there.
Yeah, it is not the most tire hungry track, this one. It is obviously in the mountain section, but if you can keep it somewhat clean up there without touching too many of the walls and without getting slides on, then it's actually not that bad for tire wear around Mount Panorama.
No, it was yeah. This time it was a good session for me, good race session. So.
Have you ever experienced being abducted by aliens from other planets?
I did not even see him. The first corner he was gone, and yeah, I didn't even know that I didn't win. I never saw someone in front of me, so.
Nevertheless, thank you for joining us, Bart P2 in the race. Jumping down to the AM categories, we're actually joined by 3 drivers having 3 different races, but very interesting at least. Let's start with Cohen. I honestly can't remember your finishing position, but you did get a lot of screen time with both Vince and Pope, of course.
13 AM and 8 overall. I don't even know. I think something like that.
Yeah, but you were in the fight for top 3 in AM for quite a long time, doing a good job out there on track. Can you put us through some of your highlights of the battling out there in the debut of the M&M still, Ricard, of course?
Well, I was a bit lightheaded at the end of the race because I held my breath during 75 minutes. So that wasn't. It was too stressful for me, actually. This race, I was dreading it because I wanted to keep it out of the wall. So in that regard, I succeeded. Light depths left and right, but I had only 5 seconds total damage at the end, so that's quite nice. And yeah, I think the two first in AM, Van Driel and Pope, were faster. So I think third is the right place for me at the moment on the mountain. Yeah.
Do you reckon things would have gone differently if you could have passed Dmitry Schenk when you caught up to him? And
Yeah,
keep
it was
your gap
definitely
going?
holding me back, but I wanted to keep it clean and not make any mistakes by driving too aggressively. So I actually didn't want to take the chance to really make a move. So yeah, at the end it turned out well because third place is quite nice.
It surely is. And another driver who had an interesting race, I would say, won the Vince. We noticed early on that you got in some difficulties around the mountain, I do believe. And then you just came back out of nowhere with that early stop.
It surprised me as well. Actually, I messed up in the chicane. I went around on the grass, and then I thought, well, maybe it's better to pit. I had enough laps, so normally I could make it with petrol. So I pitted, and to my surprise, after the pit stops, I ended up before Koen and Denise, which struck me because I didn't take any tires or something. But then, yeah, I couldn't really keep them behind me. And then the stupid thing is I'm gonna fire my ACC drive engineer because I ended up, I think, 2-3 liters short. I was even doing some engine management, but yeah, I ended up on the grass without fuel, so stupid. But it was a fun race. I didn't make any big mistakes, so, and I had a cool car, so.
Oh yes, most definitely. I'm looking forward to the championship finale at Valencia, which seems to be quite open in the AM championship after the way that the results turned out today.
Yeah, I think after I don't know what position I ended up now, so I cocked up massively, so that will cost me some points. I haven't driven a meter or even a yard at Valencia, so we'll have to see, but I'm looking forward to drive a new track. No idea where Jesse came from with the pace he had today, because that's the pace I had prior to the BOP application and on cooler conditions, but how he managed to do those lap times, really impressive. So I hope he won't be that fast next race, but we'll see. I hope to have some cool battles. Also.
I heard that Jesse warmed up for this race by boxing with kangaroos, and that's how he got the pace.
That will be the thing. I boxed with wallabies, so they are smaller. So yeah.
Yeah, you should have gone with the kangaroos, but thank you for joining us in the commentary box. And for the first time this season on the podium, Denise Pope.
Hello. Yes.
Welcome to the broadcast. First time that we hear from you in a long time, if not ever, and they're breaking the monopoly of the McLaren domination in the AM category.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I did not expect that at all. Like, I've been struggling with the Porsche, to be honest with you, and like, I love this track, but I just thought I was going to die every single lap. And then it got to the race, and I had some pace, and I was able to overtake people. So surprising, but yeah, it worked out nicely.
Yeah, it seemed like actually one of the stronger races from you. One of the races that if you would have taken the AM win, that it would have definitely got stuck in my mind for great drives. Obviously, with Jesse being so fast today, that didn't seem like an option. But
I mean, I wanted to. Don't get me wrong. But no, he was just too quick, and like I was debating whether to change tires at the stop or not. And in the end, I did change tires, which gave me the pace to sort of make back a few more positions. But once he was behind us, it was like there was no chance he was not getting by. And then he disappeared at like 3 seconds a lap. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with P2, to be honest. It's a lot more than I expected.
Oh, understandably, and a double podium for Wild Things Racing as well, with Prexley taking the silver class once again.
Yeah, he did say he would come for an interview, but only if we get his name right from now on. So...
I will never call him by his correct name. I have made my decision.
Well, you're not going to get him for an interview then, unfortunately.
He is a bit of a... And that's because he is such a prick that he wins all the races. I think that we should try and convince him to get the Jaguar out for the next round, just to get everyone else a bit of a chance.
You never know. Stranger things could happen.
Oh, they could. Anyways, Denise, next race is Valencia. a track that apparently no one seems to have experience with here in the second tier. Is it a track that you have experience with at all, or looking forward to drive at?
I've done a couple of races when it first came out, but that's about it. I don't think I've done an endurance race here, and I don't think I've done a race in the series or a league here or at Valencia. So, yeah, interesting. I've got no idea what's going to happen. It'll be interesting though.
No, but it does seem to be a track that historically fits the Porsche somewhat reasonable with a lot of medium to high speed corners and the slow speed as well. Not that much engine power track. Of course, there's a long back straight, but that's not that important lap time wise there.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm not an expert Porsche driver. I don't think I'm getting the best out of it at all. So even if it does suit it, I'm not expecting to be particularly good there, to be honest. I'm just going to take my P2 from this race and keep on to that for the whole season.
Oh, we're hoping that you'll get another one next race, as that could be potentially interesting championship-wise.
I've got no idea where I am at the moment. Is it top 5?
I think you were just on the edges of the top 5 before this race. Chris Hill could probably inform us quite quickly in the background, as he's just silent throughout all this.
There you go. Yeah. So I'd be happy with that, I think.
Not aiming for the top 3?
Not this season, though. Just getting used to the Porsche. There's no way I was gunning for top 3 this season. I think I chose the wrong car, if I'm being completely honest. But I have enjoyed it. It sounds amazing, and it's quite good at Bathurst, so that's cool.
Looking at Brixley, I think we all chose the wrong car.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. This has been a wonderful evening of racing here on the SSRI YouTube channel. Tier 2 racing, action-packed as always. Next week on SSRI, we'll have the Tier 1 season finale at Valencia. Maybe a little bit of a sneak peek into strategies for, obviously, a 1-hour race, so might just be halfway through the race and tires for everyone. Tires galore on the stops. But anyways, interesting to see what will happen in that one. I have been your commentator tonight, Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver. Behind the cameras, as always, have been Grandpa Chris Hill. And anything less to say but exit song. Ba ba da ba ba da 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 ba 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 da.